Hey, welcome in everybody. My name is Bob. I'm the Rocket City Reseller, and this is the Launchpad Reseller podcast. We just want to welcome you in, and today we have a great show lined up for you. We have Camlife here, and before we get to Camlife and introductions properly, we're going to introduce you our co-hostesses with the mostesses. We have we have Tennessee Treasures Ellie, and we also have She Shed 244 Ashley co-hosting with me on the podcast, and of course, none other than classy, classic, confident Cam Life.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, Cam, we'll call you Cam, or can I call you Caleb? Which
Either
one?
one works. You can call me Caleb or Cam.
All right, Caleb.
Answer to
Well, yeah, for sure. We're so super excited to have you on. We all sell on Whatnot, and we can't say enough about that as in the future of online reselling. I don't think static reselling necessarily will ever go away, but I think the writing's on the wall in social media. Reselling is the way of the future. We just want to get your thoughts on that. But before we do, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people that may not be tracking you on Whatnot.
Yeah, my name is Caleb. That's my real name. I go by Cam usually online, and I Cam Life is my Whatnot channel. I started live selling about I think it's been about 2 years ago now. We just crossed over 30,000 followers, trying to just build that up, be consistent. And I started with really selling on eBay before that, and I did that for a couple of years as well. And I'm coming up on in the spring on about 5 years in reselling. So yeah, no, that's about how long I've been doing it. CamLife62 is the Instagram, and CamLife is like our handle on most things.
Very nice, very nice. So you 5 years reselling, is that starting from your eBay experience onward, or was that just Whatnot?
Yeah, that's eBay experience onward. That's when I first walked into a Goodwill and picked something up and found out it was real. So so yeah, I think it was 5 years ago this spring in like March. So.
That's awesome. So, was it doom scrolling on social media that brought you to reselling, or was it something much more than that? Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning. It was really the reason I did it. I was trying to save money for a house because I had my son and we were in an apartment and just kind of like a small apartment, and I was penny pinching as much as I could. And I'm doing the math. I'm like, man, it's going to take me a while to get this this down payment. And so I ended up, I was looking for different things to do, whatever. And I had these old Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I had had since I was a little kid, and I hadn't looked at them forever. And I heard some buzz about Pokemon, whatever. They might be worth some money. So I'm like, I need to look at that and sell them if they are. And I started to look them up, and that brought me down the rabbit hole of like, okay, how do I sell these? What are they worth? And somewhere along, I use YouTube to learn things. So somewhere along the YouTube trail, I saw some videos of people going into Goodwills and finding stuff and selling it. And I'm telling you, I was 100% sure it was not real. I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. You can't actually do that.
Same.
I thought that all the way up to where, but it's kind of fascinating. They're showing me this. I'm just not buying it. I don't believe it. If you had asked me at the time, I wouldn't have even known if eBay was still around. I thought they were probably like bankrupt years before. And but I like watch some videos on how to do it, whatever, and then I go into a Goodwill and I'm looking around. I'm feeling like the biggest idiot in the world. I'm just like so sure that like this is not a thing. And I'm about to walk out, and there was this computer game, Diablo 2, and
Great
and like
game.
and like yeah, and I did the thing they told me to do. I looked up some solds. I'm like, okay, and I buy it for like $2.99. And I go home that day and I take it out and I take the pictures and I list it. And I still remember because it sold that night at like 11 o'clock at night. And I woke up and it said it sold on my phone. And I got this jolt of like, it only sold for like $11. Now
Dopamine.
it wasn't, it wasn't even that. After fees and stuff, I might have made like $2 or something. But it was just kind of the concept. I was like, wait, I just walked into this place, I found something, and it sold that night. It probably took me another 2 hours to pack it up. I individually wrapped like each disc because I didn't know anything about it. So that got me started. And then I'll fast forward. I sold everything for, I went to yard sales, I went to thrift stores, found out that you could just find stuff that has value, put it on eBay, make some money. And I started doing it as much as I could. I had my regular job. And so it was like every weekend I did it. Every time after work, I did it. And I sold everything, yeah, for about 3 or 4 months. And I and still I was like, I was doing as much research as I could. I was very skeptical for the first 4 weeks, that like I'm like, okay, you can find something that's worth money, but like this isn't a job. You can't do this. And I started to find, hear people that are doing it. And I got to give a shout out to Tech and Sports. I don't know if you guys know him, but
Oh
he's
yeah.
on YouTube. And I actually
Oh,
found
days ones.
yeah, I actually found his podcast pretty early on.
Mhm.
and
Best
and I
thing you ever did.
started, yeah,
Mhm.
and I started like, he would, and then he at one point he like mentioned how much he had done or was making, and I'm like, what? Huh? Hold on. And then I basically have to give a lot of the credit to him, because I just copied what he did, and he was like, oh, take pictures this way, and I did it, and it worked. It was like list stuff this way, I did it, and it worked. And about a few months into it, I was just still selling everything. And I mean, I sold as most resellers kind of can relate to that time when you're just like picking up anything that's worth money. Expired medicine, I remember that was one.
Oh, wow.
They said it wasn't poisonous if it was expired, just a little, it wasn't as effective. And but all kinds of things. But I ended up realizing that like, oh, there's clothes everywhere. And because I loved selling video games, I loved selling cards when I found them. Legos were awesome, but like, yeah, like you couldn't find them. Clothes, they're in every thrift store, everywhere, they're all over the place. And I kind of realized, because I did find a few things of clothes that I could sell, and I kind of realized there was just this knowledge gap. Like, there's so much there, I just don't know what to pick up. And so then I started to niche down into clothes, studying it. People that know me from before I started this business to now, that like they think it's the craziest thing ever, because like I have no passion for clothes at all. I wear like the same 3 shirts still to this day. Yeah, which it actually, I tell people it actually helped me a lot, because choosing a category that was like I had no passion for, I didn't have any. I couldn't have told you the difference between Gucci and Faded Glory. I mean, no lie. Like I really had no idea what the difference was. So but the only choice I got when I'm in a thrift store, I got to look it up. I got to look at the comps. I have no idea what style is. I have, a lot of people get in trouble because they go off what they think is cool. I knew I had no idea what was cool, and it kind of helped me, because I had to look everything up. And so I only went off the data kind of early on from that. And yeah, just kept doing that. Went through the whole, I started in that tiny apartment with my son, and I ended up filling up the entire space to where we couldn't walk, with, shelves and everything. But I had enough money for the down payment after about, 7 months. And then I got a house and had a little storage unit out back, and you filled that up. And then I got a shop now that we work out of. And that was, it was about 2 years ago I started live selling, and now it's close to about 70% of the business that I do now. And there's just a lot of opportunity there. I think, and just a lot, just a lot of possibilities. I like a lot of things about it. And so I have kind of just like leaned that way. And it's just kind of happened naturally. I had, the eBay business is still good, and it was good when I started the live selling, but it's just kind of been easier and more opportunity going into that. So that is the really fast, catch up on 5 years.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
I
whiplash.
got 7 employees now, and we passed $1 million last year. That was kind of a
What?
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
so.
Hashtag goals.
I
Yes.
know, right?
I'm glad you went over your fashion sense, because that was one of my questions. With somebody who sells,
Yeah.
like you sell a lot of higher name brands, fashions that I have also. I'm out of the loop. I'm not big on fashion. I know some things because I have a 14-year-old daughter who wants all the name brand things,
Uh-huh.
and that's the only reason I know any names at all. So that was fun to hear.
Yeah, it's like my whole life I just have never gotten it. Like it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like I actually understand now. I get that people want to look cool, and I get that, like, for some people, like, keeping up with trends and styles is fun for them. That's like the thing they like to do. It just was never my thing. So it is kind of funny that, like, now, and I, like, know what people like, but I just, it just doesn't make that much a difference to me personally. But I'm glad people like it. And that's where, like, I tell people, like, it's kind of like helped me out, because especially when I got into live selling, like, it didn't matter to me whether I was selling girls' dresses or like cool vintage T-shirts. Like, they're kind of all the same to me.
Mhm.
And I do like providing value to the customers that come. So, like, it kind of helps. Like, I wasn't scared to, like, jump into different categories or anything. And I think that kind of helped me with the live selling to find niches that, like, people, there was just higher demand for, instead of just finding something I like, where maybe it's a little bit harder of a niche.
That
Yeah,
must
because
help
I
with.
think that's what I was thinking. Because I was like, we're all kind of in the toy and plush category. That's where we sell, and we're like nostalgia fiends. Like, we love all the old school stuff, and we
Uh-huh.
have that passion. And it's like, the clothes, it's like, it's not necessarily as, and I thought you were like this guru, like you knew everything about everything. Like, I've watched your shows and I'm like, holy crud. But I think that's actually a smart business sense is, yes, you've learned this knowledge, but you don't have a tie to that product. Like, for me, if it's a Shira from the 80s, I'm like, holy crud, that is worth money. That's my childhood. I'm more like attached to it, that I'm like, I don't want to give it up. So I think that's a good business model to some extent too, because you're like, yes, it's Gucci, but I only got it for this. And okay, here you go. You want it? And the value you're giving your customer. I think that's great.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, there's positives and negatives to it, I think. But because you do want something that, like, keeps your fire going and keeps you, burning to, keep doing it. Because I think the people that find success have done it, for years, and it's hard to sustain that when you're just not passionate about anything. And so for me, like, it's more of a passion about just, like, building the business and providing value to customers, whether I'm selling, clothes or, like, Tic Tacs or whatever. And you can, yeah, if you do have a niche that you really love, I think Whatnot's way better for that, because you can actually be in front of the camera and get your personality out there, and people see that passion and they like it for different niches. So I do
Mhm.
think that actually does help some with, with live selling. But you do run in, when you like something a lot, it's hard to give it up. and
Exactly. It's really
and
hard. Yeah.
that's where it's like, it does, you end up, it can be detrimental to, like, the business part, because it's like, yeah, that Shira, like, this is awesome. I'm not
Mhm.
giving somebody a deal on this. I'm waiting. I'm holding on to
I'm
it.
holding it. Yeah, I'm
So,
holding it.
so it can get you in trouble that way, but having a passion, and, it, bringing excitement, so, you can keep showing up and doing what you need to do, is can be useful too.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Whatnot. I mean, whatnot's one of those things that that you can get yourself into some trouble there because you're always, especially if you've started off static selling before. With that, the price that you can get for it in that regard. So whatnot can be tricky in that making that switch. So knowing that if you could take the passion and the bias out of it, it's a wholesale market and move it fast. That's definitely an excellent model and one that Whatnot really is. You can be very successful doing so, and obviously you're the results of that type of business model.
Hmm.
And when you just said something about the business is what you're passionate about, I resonate with that. That's part of what I like about reselling. It's not so much the item because people will not remember that thing that you've done for them or the item you sold to them. They'll remember the emotion, how that made you feel. So through live reselling, I think you can make that connection and make people feel valued and understood, and they have the thing that you want to have, and that's what you're selling. You're making that connection. So you're for in front, camera facing, online live reselling, is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could go. I didn't know you guys actually were all Whatnot sellers. I thought I didn't
Yeah,
know what I was getting
that's
into.
okay. We're very small fish.
Well,
Yes.
I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think it's and I think it's the best opportunity in reselling. I think it's one of the best opportunities in business that has come along, maybe ever or in a long time. And there's a lot of stats to go with this. If you look at the Asian market with live selling, it's
Oh, it's crazy.
absolutely massive. And that shift is happening here in the US, but it hasn't really happened yet. And I don't think anybody's going to keep up with the demand on it. So like I have, and this is something because I work with a couple people. We got a meeting, a group here in Nashville, and I work with a couple people, and just talking to other, people that do lives. And I'm like, I haven't seen a single example of someone that has been consistent with their shows for an entire year not find success. Now, being consistent for a whole year is tough, but like you be consistent in like the restaurant industry after a year, you might still be broke. Like it's hard. Like there's a lot of businesses that are very tough. Even with that, this one is just like there's a lot of demand out there for people that want to shop this way, and everybody has their own personality where you can get in front of the camera and people are going to like what you bring as opposed to somebody else, and that other person is going to have something that they bring as well. And so there's just so much to it. And then you build the following. I mean, you don't get that with static selling. I got a lot of followers on eBay, but they're not tuning into my store to buy stuff every day. And whereas like the followers on live selling, they want to know what's going to be in the next show that we're going to, and so you get that as well. And I mean, there really is just like, and as far as the shows go, there's so many different ways you can do it. And I've seen so many examples of like shows that work. Like you got people like I sell clothes, more of a wholesale model. I mean, it's more of cheaper prices usually, and quicker. We sell about one item a minute. But I've seen people that will sell. I have people that source from me and then sell on Whatnot and have crazy good businesses. Now they sell only like 5 to 10 items an hour, and they spend a lot of the time talking it up, and they'll run more items and wait for the right price. But that really works for them, and it's completely different. So there's just so many different ways you can do it, and I really think like it's just scratched the surface. I mean, just like the number of people on Whatnot, but also just like the new followers we get every single day that come in and buy something. I mean, every single day we get about 50 new people that have not been on the platform that buy from us. So so that's crazy, and I think it's a great opportunity to jump on right now.
I think I mentioned in another podcast how the market share for in the United States, we're probably about 30% of online reselling right now. And you're right, the Asian markets are absolutely crazy. There's absolute rooms of just people with Ring cameras, as far as I can see, just pulling and dropping. They're selling things in just 5-second runs, probably, if I had to guess. So that is insane to think about, and to think about the opportunity that's available through Whatnot and what's coming next. I think right now we say it a lot of times. The point of the podcast is to try to give people hope, because there are a lot of people that are struggling right now. Like you were trying to figure out how to pay for or get a down payment on a mortgage. Some people are, just trying to keep the lights on. So I think Whatnot could potentially be the lever for a lot of families out there that might be struggling. So to bring awareness to Whatnot in that regard is something that we're definitely all about on this podcast, and kind of what we're looking to do. If you didn't know, I'm a data scientist. Actually, that's what I do in my 9 to 5, and I resell for fun. This is my hobby. Don't judge me, Caleb. Don't judge me, Caleb.
I actually
Judge away.
Yeah, people, because most people know me and they know I'm full time now. I've been doing that for a while, and so they think that's like the way it should be done or whatever. But I tell them, I'm like, I think for most people, it as a side job is like the best fit for most people, because that's where it's still lots of times fun. Because it's like a hobby where you're having fun, but then you also make money. I mean, normally your hobbies are like buying train sets that cost like a bunch of money or whatever, or going fishing. You're just constantly pouring money into it. So it's like a hobby where you can have fun and then you can make money. So I think most people fall into that category, and it's great for people that want to go full time. But it is, there's a lot that comes with running a full time business that you got to kind of like just commit more to and give up more things, especially to get started. Which isn't exactly the right fit for, I think, for a lot of people, but almost everyone is like, if you have fun doing it, it's like awesome. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
I really resonate with what you said too, as far as there is no one right way to run a show. And there's a lot of arguments that I see on social media, like $1 starts, don't do $1 starts, never do $1 starts. Like, as long as you understand your bottom line, as long as you understand your numbers, you can run your show however you want and find success. And success looks different for everybody. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah. I think you got it. You just got to know your numbers on it. I've
Mhm.
seen, and I like, and what you're saying about, it making a difference in people's lives. Like I've actually seen it. I've seen it in a lot of people. And for a lot of people that go, like, if you go to the Goodwill bins, there was like so many people there now that have nice reselling businesses on whatnot. And for whatever reason, with static selling, a lot of people try that and we're struggling with it. It can be, it's so different from live selling. Like it can be very boring. I mean, I did it because I was so desperate to like not have my regular job is why I was like committed to anything. So like I was listing 50 items a day and I was doing the wake up early and just like, taking your photos and doing that. And there's a lot of people that's like and it was a struggle for me, but it was just like I just hated like where I was, I think, more than most people. And but for a lot, that's like really tough to like keep with, and you got to keep with it for years, to make that happen. And live selling's like a lot different, and you can actually make it work a bunch of different ways. And yeah, as long as you know your numbers, like that's just the biggest thing. If you know what you're actually buying things for and you know what you need to sell them for, maybe you can do $1 starts and it's awesome. You just get tons of people in there and you sell a bunch of items.
Yeah.
Or maybe you sell a bunch of items and you lose your money, a bunch of money if you don't
Right.
what your cost of goods are. And so yeah, there's so many people that I think one problem when people look at whatnot in live selling is it naturally shows the bigger streams when you get on, and people naturally see those and they think like this is what I'm supposed to be doing or this is how it works or whatever.
Mhm.
And really, if you could rewind any of those streams, except for the people that come in with like big social media followings, that's like different. If you rewind, like me, I had zero. I didn't even have an Instagram when I started whatnot, and you don't need one. And you just have to but like if you rewind to my beginning shows, they don't look anything like what my shows are now. And so like it's different at the beginning. And I think people see like my show or other people's shows where they've done like thousands of shows, and now we're at $1 starts, and we can do that stuff, but you don't have to do it that way. And it
Mhm.
worked at the very beginning when I didn't do $1 starts. I had whatever, I was selling Nike jackets and I paid $5 for them. Like I need to start those at 9, because at the
Mhm.
time I didn't have a following. I started them at 1. Everybody gets these awesome deals, that's great, but I lose a bunch
Right.
of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
And the shows at $9 at that start price, like it worked too. It worked. I'm sure I sold a little bit less, but like it was still a good deal for people. Now I also had shows that I started at a certain start price and the items didn't sell.
Mhm.
And I think for most people, it's just understanding that the markets, and this is actually a really good thing about live selling, is like the market gives you feedback right away. Like
Immediately.
eBay, sometimes it's tough because you got to, items can take 6 to 12 months to sell, and that's pretty normal. So you don't get that feedback. And if an item sits in your store for 3 years, you don't really know. So you kind of miss that loop. With live selling, no one's in your show and it's awkward. And so you learn right away. And and that's why like my early shows, I had a lot of those. And I'm like, oh, people just don't want this item at this price. I need to stop selling this. And then I just don't do those shows. And I did the shows that people did like.
Right.
And so, yeah, and I've seen it done so many different ways, which is really exciting and really cool about it.
So I have a question, right? Because you're talking about how to run shows. You're talking that you didn't come in with any kind of following, which so many people kind of dog whatnot because it's for the big live sellers. It's for the big YouTubers that came over with the following, and it's really not. It can work for anybody. And so I guess my question, I was wondering before, what got you into whatnot? When did you make the switch from eBay to whatnot? Like, did you hear somebody doing that, and then how do you go from 0 to 30,000 followers in 2 years?
Um, yeah, yeah, no, I
Please
can.
tell us.
Tell us.
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly. So for me, because I was listing a lot on eBay, I had some suppliers and I was getting kind of extra inventory basically.
Mm,
And there's just some inventory that isn't the best on eBay, but it does fine live selling. And I'd heard about whatnot, so I'd seen people doing it. I also really believe there's two buckets of advice, and I try to parse them out when I'm talking to people.
mm,
There's the advice for the people that like just want to make the money, like want to make this work, want to be a full-time job. And then there's the advice for like people that want it to be, fun and more of a hobby and also make some money on the side. And so like if you're just trying to make money as fast as possible, then like being focused is crazy important. So I want to even suggest you do eBay and Whatnot. I think you choose one. And same, I never suggest you cross list. I never suggest you do eBay and Poshmark. I think it's a big mistake because you only got so much time, you only got so much attention, and one platform takes a lot. And if you can focus on one platform, you can get a lot out of it. So if you're at the beginning, then like just choose one or the other and really focus on it, and you'll get a lot more out of either one. And so my eBay is what I focus on. And so I'd heard about Whatnot, bringing it back. I'd heard about Whatnot, and I just, I always shut it off. I shut off most things people say to me, because if I start listening to this and that, then like my main thing will go down. And at the time it was eBay, but I had suppliers. I was getting in inventory, and there's some things like a Lululemon tank top or some Lululemon leggings that aren't the best style, that the category is saturated on eBay. And I ended up having people that could bring me this, and I'm like, okay, well, let me try this Whatnot thing out. And that was basically what I started with. And so I just had extra activewear, Lululemon mainly, and those shows did well right from the beginning, because especially at that time there wasn't as many shows like that. And so I would just run, do those shows, and then I would sort out different other brands and things, and do that. And if you have, so like with reselling in general, which a lot of people miss this, and it's really just the one key that like it's so simple but it's missed. If you have stuff people want, like you don't need a following, you don't need anything else, you're going to have success. And I think most people need to adjust their schedules to where they're sourcing as much as they possibly can, because I could give any of you or anybody on the street one of my Whatnot shows, and they're gonna have success with it because my inventory is good. And that's like all it takes. You don't even have to have a following, and you constantly want it to be better and better. And so that's how I started at the beginning with no following. And then people would come into my show, they would get a good deal, and they'd bookmark and they'd come back. And we would gain, I used to track it, we'd gain like 10 to 15 new followers every time. I never did promotions or anything like that, or asked people to, share my channel or anything, for a lot of reasons. But one of the main ones is like, if you grow slower, you make sure that like people are coming, and this is what I wanted. And you can actually do it where people come for your personality. I think that's fine. That was never going to be me, because that's not my personality. I'm not crazy eccentric or anything like that. And so I needed people coming for the inventory, and they still like you. They still like hearing you talk and whatever. But I have seen people hold down a show just on their personality, and they sell stuff I never could, and that's great. That's great. It just wasn't going to be me. So I just made sure like the product that I had was good, and I sold it at a price where people would keep coming back, and I just kept running shows like that. And the shows that didn't work out, I stopped doing those. And I had a lot of shows that didn't work out early on.
I'm hearing have what people want.
Yeah,
have what people want.
It's
really simple science.
Go figure.
It's crazy how like I'm still learning that like every year. Like I just learn it in a new way, because I think I kind of figure it out, and then it just goes back to like, you just gotta get what people want. You got to get the best stuff you can.
Keep up with those trends.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think like lots of times when people are struggling, they look at a lot of different reasons on why that could be the case. And it kind of hurts to just like admit my stuff's not good enough. And by good enough, it's like you might have good stuff, but you're wanting top dollar for it. And it's like, maybe that's not the market right here that you can hit. And it's like, that's the problem that needs to be fixed. And that kind of hurts more, I think, because you gotta reset and like, look at your whole schedule and like how you're sourcing, what you're buying things at. And maybe you got to put in more hours there. So yeah, I think that is like the number one key is I always think about it this way. I'm like, for me, and I think for almost everyone else, if you fix the good inventory problem, if you fix just that one thing, where like if I came to any of you and just handed you good inventory, like you're going to have an awesome business. So if that's the one thing that affects everything else, it's where like all of our time should be, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think you brought a lot of stuff to light, because I think we've all kind of discussed of like how we found Whatnot, and we can't pinpoint it. But when I started on Whatnot, I started in home decor, Don't ask me how I wound up in toys and plush, but that's where I wound up. But you start finding, like for me, when I first started, I was watching people. I was like, what is this whatnot? And I was watching different shows and like how they were running it. And I was like, okay, dollar starts is not going to work for me. But you start seeing going into other people's shows what they're looking for. And then I also start noticing, like sometimes in my shows, my price point, I'll start it at something and like, okay, it didn't sell. Maybe that's too high and I'll drop it. And then slowly but surely, yes, it sells because, of course, some of it is pinpointed. Everyone's looking for certain niche and maybe I don't have it or that price point is too high. And then other times you'll list something and holy crud, you have like 10 pre-bids on it and you're like, oh man, I listed that way too low. But it is that learning curve. It's your, as you said, your audience is going to tell you, yes, this is good, or no, it's not. And you get that immediate. And it's like you have to take that information back and like, okay, what can I do better? And I think for everybody on Whatnot, as you said, everybody does it differently. So it's kind of picking and choosing what works for you. And then, as you said, you have to be your authentic self. I'm not eccentric. I'm not loud. I will cut up. I will joke. I will be sarcastic, that sort of thing. I'll cut up whatever and keep it fun and light as we're going. But I'm not eccentric like, hey guys, this is a good deal. Bid, bid, bid. You know, that sort of mentality. So it
Talk to
just
chat like, hey, chat.
for you.
No,
Yeah. Hey chat, hey chat, bid, bid, bid. I only paid this. Y'all are getting, yeah. You have to like weed that out. And I think for everybody that's different. That works for some people. For other people, it's kind of, as I think for me as a buyer, it's a turnoff of, okay, well, you're the one that you put it up at that price. It is what it is. But I think that is key is you're learning every time because we all sat in those rooms where you're by yourself and you're looking one, it's just you. And some things that I learned is you just got to keep it going. You can't go, oh, here's this one item and stick to it. You got to keep going. And even if you're by yourself, you just got to keep it going. And I think the one thing I learned, and I know that was a long time ago with the onboarding, is at least an hour. Give it an hour. It may take forever and you may be sitting there, but give it that hour. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. At the beginning, I like, because a lot of people ask me too, like, hey, how do I get followers at the beginning? Like, I don't got anybody. And for me, I was so opposite. I was like, I don't even really want followers right now because I don't want that many people seeing how bad I'm going to mess up because I can't even talk to them, you know? And it's funny, I've hired probably at least 5 streamers. I can't remember, maybe 6, and trained them. And like everyone gets like crazy nervous at the beginning. Even my really outgoing hosts that like they've never met a stranger in person, they'll talk your ear off, which is the good thing. Like their first show, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. Like, and now they can't even read the brand or anything. And now with training, it's like guys, this is going to happen no matter what. So it's like just get through that first show. Usually that's by far the worst, and then your second show you're a little better. And usually after show number 5 or 6, it's like, okay, I know how to talk when nobody's in there. I know how to talk to 2 people. And so when I was first getting started, I didn't want 50 people watching me. And so it was nice to have like 3 people. Oh, great, I can practice. And yeah, I was just as bad as everybody else. And then I could practice and stay on there for an hour. And it's really valuable, as much as it's kind of hard and sucks to like, be in a room with just 3 people and no one's talking to you, to try to like start up a conversation, try to get that one sale. It's really valuable to get that early on. And then, later on, it kind of pays off when you got more followers and you're able to keep a conversation going and keep it live. But I've also seen every personality I think works. And all that I tell my hosts is like, hey, just be you, be authentic to yourself, because if you're crazy loud and outgoing, that's going to attract a certain person that loves that show. But if you're really quiet and laid back, the person that likes the quiet and laid back show is going to hate that show, which is fine. They're just going to leave that one. They're going to go find my other host that's like quiet and laid back and sweet. And they're like, oh, this is more my tempo. And that's the same with dollar starts. Some people don't like dollar starts in the rush and tons of people in there. They like it when it's, slower. And you got people that don't mind paying full retail price if it's like really, if someone shows it off and does a good job. And so it's like you can kind of acquire any type of audience, but it's like I do think you just probably don't want to be like trying to not be yourself or changing it up. Because if you're like go from being like loud to like quiet or whatever, then it's like the people that like this one person, they don't like you the next time you're on and whatever. And so it's like just be yourself, and the people that like you are going to find you, and the people that don't like you are going to go find someone else that they like, which is still good.
Yeah.
Also creates burnout for yourself when you try to create this persona that you have to like fulfill every time. Definitely agree.
Yeah, that would be hard. The only thing, and I try to do this, and this was like the one thing is like I do try to bring energy, because like I think universally people don't necessarily like a show that's like low energy, and I tell like that's like the one thing when I hire people, I'm like, hey, I'm paying you to bring energy to the show. That's like that's the one thing. And me, when I was doing the shows for myself, because I did it about a year, and it was like back-to-back shows at night after I did all my other work. And man, so many times I was just not wanting to be on and do it.
You're like the Clear Eyes guy.
Yeah.
Clear Eyes. Remember those commercials?
No, I don't remember the commercial, but probably that was me. But the funny thing was, like every single time after like the first 2 minutes, like I got over that resistance or whatever I was feeling, and like I was fine for the rest. It was really just like getting to the show and getting started was the hard part. But yeah.
We need a term for that. We need to create a word for it, because it's so real.
It's what not stage fright.
Just not want, like when you don't want to go live, and then when you do, it's like, okay, all right, we're here.
A lot of times when you don't want to, you do very well.
Oh yeah.
My wife is on Whatnot as well. Fiona's Finds, for those who are not follow her. Shameless, always Caleb. But she has the same problem where she is tired. She does, full-time eBay, full-time everywhere. And she's a full-time reseller. She gets tired during the day. And when it comes to Whatnot, she's just like, I'm not sure if I can show up today. But every time that she thinks that, and every time she shows up for herself, like you're saying, she is super successful because of it. Her natural personality and who she is. She's never met a stranger. She's very talkative. All the things come out in the moment. So I want to encourage anybody that's struggling with that right now, just remember to show up for yourself, most of all, first and foremost, because that's I think most important, because you can't help anybody else if you can't help yourself. So
yeah, there's that book, The War of Art. I forget who wrote it, and he talks because no, not the art. So it's not The Art of War, that famous Chinese book. It's The War of Art. And it's a famous one about it's super easy to read, super short, and he talks about the feeling, and it's like resistance, and it happens in a bunch of different things. Lots of like workout is one of the obvious ones, like where it's like it's time for my workout, like you just feel that like I don't want to do it, and then like if you can just break through and do it, then you end up feeling better. He talks about it in reference to writing, which I did some writing in the past, and it was the same thing. It's like if you're writing a book or whatever, it's like you really feel it like before you sit down and put your key, and you type that first sentence, and whatever it is, it's heavy, it's like depressing, or it's like it's just hard to get through. And that's the same thing with the Whatnot shows. Like you feel it before, and usually, I mean, for me, and I think most people probably would resonate with this, like if you can just hit the go button, if you can get through that first 2 minutes, 5 minutes, then it starts to roll, and you're like, oh, this is nice. And sometimes those are your best shows, like for whatever reason.
Yeah, you can get stuck in a paralysis analysis, or whatever it's called, analysis paralysis, and not execute. And I think that's sometimes like one of those things, like I'm going to do it tomorrow, or I'm scared. You need to try to put that person that lives inside you in a box. Because you know what, in 6 months, it's going to be what it's going to be. Why not be successful in 6 months? So it's going to be the same. Why not be successful instead of not, I guess is the point. So hit go, record, whatever you need to do, get out there, put yourself in front of it. I am super bad about this myself, so I need to take my own advice, because I tend to have that same feeling. And I've made a commitment to come on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central and do toys and plush, and just put myself out of my comfort zone and be consistent. Because I think where most people misconstrue luck, they don't see the consistency, the hard work, the late nights, the early mornings. They don't see that part. They say, wow, you're really lucky in this. So I think that's key, is just like for me is just showing up for myself,
Mm.
Yeah, it's got to be for everyone. In text group, I think there's like 2,500 people in there now, something like that, and
Wow.
it's so obvious that and it's this should be encouraging, that if you can just find a way to be consistent, like those people all have success. They all do. And I think, but probably 90% of the people that don't, that's what it comes down to. And it's consistent, like, because when it's your business, like you affect everything. So,
Mhm.
if you're working at Walmart and you're just one of the 400,000 employees they got, and you don't really show up for your shift, well, you're one of 400,000. Like, it's not making that much of a difference. If it's your business, you affect everything. So if you're only showing up every 3 days, like that's not, it's not going to work. And so I think sometimes it's just giving you a goal, you can accomplish, you can do, and then like really holding yourself to that as much as you can. I think sometimes people start off way too high, like, hey, I'm doing a show every day. Well, is that you? Can you do that? Because
Yeah.
that's a lot,
I
especially
was doing that in the beginning, Caleb. I was
yeah.
showing up every day. 8,000 sold. First year was absolute fire, but
Mhm.
like Ellie was mentioning earlier, burnout's a thing. And I was managing a full time, job, full time father, all the things, foster dad, whatever you want to, at the time. And it was a lot. It became a lot for me, and even I struggle with it as much as I'm trying to be encouraging and positive and all the other things that come along with it. On top of that, so it would just became heavy. So part of my plan for this year, strategy wise, was to just try to be consistent and at least the effort in a way that makes sense for me and my shows. Now, my wife is a different type. She has 3 4 shows a week. Whatnot's not her primary thing, she'll self-admit. She her eBay and other stuff is primary focus for her, and she's very successful at full-time reselling. We'll just call it that. So I think that's super important to keep in mind. So give yourself some grace is the point of this story. Um, because if you don't, you're going to burn out, and you're going to burn out quick. I saw it in myself. Um, I see it in others. I can look at someone that's very, I'm not going to call out names, but someone particularly in our niche that it's burning out, and I can see it. And I want to, if that person's watching this, I just want to encourage them to please let off the gas pedal just a bit, because if not, we're not going to see you in a year. I think you're going to end up falling off. So just be mindful of that when you're going forward, and also be encouraging in regards to get started as well for those that are fence sitting, because in 6 months you're still going to be in the spot that you are, or you can be in a better spot if you do. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so important. Don't burn yourself out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
burnout is so real, and I
Yeah.
experienced it just due to sheer necessity. So I was going live every single day, 8 hours a day, and I didn't have a lot of people in my show, but it was like open shop. It was like having a little store waiting for somebody to come in, and I'll say this, I didn't have a lot of followers. It just takes one person to come in there and spend 50 bucks, spend 100 bucks because, "Ooh, you have a lot of stuff. You got cool stuff. Let's go through it." And I would. But it created that resistance that we're talking about even more now. So like now it's almost like it haunts me, right? Because now I'm like I remember that burnout, and when I have to go live, when I want to go live, I still sometimes feel like I really don't want to. But when I do, everything's fine and everything's fun. Um, so
Yeah, it's hard not to be
burnout is real.
resentful of that past experience, but
Yeah.
I think the trick to that is to again put that thing in a box and lock it away, and keep it moving and iterate, change, grow. And let's talk about change and growth, Caleb. In your business, you
Mm.
went from doing your own shows, late nights, to scaling to where you are now. What do you think? What was it that was the key point or the key swinging factor to having the hosts that you currently have? And let's talk about the business side of it.
Sure. So as far as hiring hosts, it was just like as soon as I get enough good inventory. I think I th- I really believe everybody in their business should examine their processes. Really make sure you're being efficient with your shipping, with when you're on a live and things like that, and get like whatever your system is. get it so it's nice and tight. And when you have that, for me, as soon as I had enough inventory, I was ready to hire hosts, and I got my hosts, and I say, hey, do everything I do. And so it was kind of that easy, and it goes back to me for inventory. And so I was just, able to make more connections and, just build those connections over the years. And so as soon as I have enough steady coming in, I can just find someone that, is able to follow directions and do the same thing I do. And then they're able to do a show as well. And then, and for moving forward, we're starting to get people to send us inventory, which is actually a big thing that's opening up for this year. And so we should be able to grow a lot. But pretty much anytime I can, because I got my systems that work, I can kind of take anyone and plug them into that. And just as, they're a good fit if they like, doing live shows and stuff. And so I can plug them into that and, grow from there.
Yeah, let's talk about those. You mentioned something that I think I'm aware of that many might not be. And you kind of alluded to it in the beginning when we were talking, the closet clearouts. Is that what you guys are calling it?
Yeah.
You just want to run us through what that means and what that looks like for your business model?
Sure. Yeah. And I think this is something new that a lot of people should try, especially if you already have a following. We call it, ours is the Camlife Closet Cleanout. And on shopcamlife.com/cleanout is where people can fill out the application. And basically, we sell clothes for the most part. People fill out the application, the brands they have, and we get it, and we send, we pay for shipping. So we send them a label, they put their inventory in a box, and they send it to us. And I had a suspicion, I had thought about this, and then kind of it went to the back of my mind because I'm thinking about stuff all the time. And then if for some reason kind of clicked that hey, wait, that might be a good thing to do. And I tested it out with a few people here locally because they didn't have to ship it to me. So I could just be like, hey, give me your stuff. We'll split the profit and see if it works. And some people had some inventory that had been stale, did it for them, worked great. They got their money. And, because the way we do our shows, the stuff sells right away. And so we got their inventory, did the show, went great. They got their money, and we're happy anyway. So we've done about 20 of them now. I actually have a lot of demand for this, but I need a lot more, honestly. But we've done about 20. And the biggest thing about this is out of the 20, everyone that has sent the inventory has really liked it. I've had 10 of those 20 reach back out to do another closet clean out after. And the way we do it is we just split the profit once we get it in. So we handle everything. All they got to do is put it in a box, and then they get a big payout for it. And it's basically like consignment, but it has so many more advantages over traditional consignment because you don't have to give it to somebody, wait for them to list it, have this whole spreadsheet of all your stuff, and then get this trickle of money throughout the next year. You can't even remember what you sent in. Oh, this stuff didn't sell. It gets sent back to you. No, everything you send us, as long as it's approved, it's put in a show, it's run, and you get this big payout, within a week usually. And so I think I just got, my prediction is in 2 years, this is going to be very common. There's going to be a lot of people doing this in every single niche, because if you have a following, it's if someone has, and for my instance, if someone, a lady, lots of what we sell is, women's clothes. If someone has nice clothes and they want to sell them, their options, they can take it to Plato's. Our closet cleanouts pay more than Plato's. So they a good bit usually. So they can take it there, get rid of it. They can sell it themselves. And I always say, if people want to make all the money, I do a live every Tuesday on our Instagram. I'm hey, come, I'll show you exactly how you can keep all the money, but you're going to have to list it. You're going to have to learn how to make a title. When it sells, you're going to have to pack it up. You're going to have to ship it out. You're going to have to learn how to deal with a return. Oh, you didn't list this the right way, so now you got to pay for shipping both ways. Oh, by the way, you got a full-time job, and now you're spending all this money doing something else that you don't even like. That's awful. They don't want to do that. Even saying it now, I'm wondering why I'm doing it. But, that's not the best option for them. It's oh, maybe they want to do a live themselves. Well, they don't have a following. We got 30,000 people. We got, a social media. And so even if they did the live themselves and they knew exactly how to do it, which they don't know the process, they never, sold one before, they're not going to get nearly what they would get splitting the profit, with someone that has a big following. So it has been just for them, it's awesome. It's amazing. They get rid of their inventory, which is what they want. And they get money for it, and you could go get new stuff that's, maybe a newer style or whatever. And so it works for us because we get inventory we don't have to pay for. Works for the people that send it because they get a nice payout, and then it works for all of our Whatnot customers because we start everything at $1 and they get amazing deals. We got one tomorrow. I know this is going to go live later, so sorry for the people. But it's amazing stuff. It's going to be amazing items, and they're all going to start at $1. And most people that come to that show are going to get really good deals in that show. So it's just like a win all the way around. I've told, I've suggested this to, everybody here locally, but I'm like, whatever niche you have, like, and here's the craziest part about it on why it's like so much. I mean, it's just wild is I haven't spent a single dollar advertising it. Not a single one. Only thing we do is in our shows, we say, hey guys, if you got, inventory that you got laying around, you can send it to us and we'll sell it for free. I did not expect us to get demand that way. I thought we might get a couple people, but we've gotten a lot, and then they've told their friends, and then it's worked out. And so I had meta ads all ready to go. I was planning on advertising on Facebook, and I'm still going to do that, but I haven't even have to. Like I just had a lot of demand this way. So that's the new. Speaking of good inventory, that's like I can always go out and make new connections. That's just like a stair step that takes time, which is fine. That's the job. But this is something where I think it can really blow up and like can become a bigger thing. So I do think that's going to happen in a lot of different niches as well.
I think you're right. And I think that it's a super important part of the business model. I'm excited to see where that goes. And I want you to look at the camera. We're going to do a little bit of test right now. Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot. Sure. I want you to look in the camera. I want you to tell the globally everybody about Camlife and that process, and we're gonna go ahead and clip that, and we're gonna test the market, okay, and we're gonna see if we can generate more business. So right now, okay, on the spot, one more time, go ahead.
All right, go to shopcamlife.com/cleanout, fill out your application. We'll send you a free shipping label, put your clothes in a box, send it to us. We sell them all for you, split the money 50-50.
There it is, right there. Simple as that, everybody. Make sure you check out the Closet Cleanout by Camlife. And
I really do. I tell everyone I know, because not many people, I have seen this popping up, a few people doing this now. And I just think because a lot of people have 30 people, 40 people, whatever, that come to their shows all the time. And usually, because you're on Whatnot, you have a niche that you're selling, whether it's toys, whether it's vintage t-shirts, whether it's plush, whatever. And the people that come to your show, they're only there because they like that stuff. So odds are they have some of it. And if you can come up with a way for them, or they know somebody that has it, whatever, to send that stuff to you, and then, or maybe some stuff they're not using, whatever, I think a lot of people are going to use that as a way to source in the future. And it's working really well so far.
It's not a bad idea, especially I know sourcing could be different for a lot of people in different areas. And I want to encourage you, if you're having trouble with sourcing, Whatnot can be a lever for you. But also there are opportunities like what, Caleb just mentioned, to do that type of thing. I know that sourcing in maybe Georgia, where Ashley is, may not be the same as Alabama here where I am, and also Tennessee where Ellie is. It's all different, and there's no wrong or right way to do it as long as you get it at the best price you can. But this is an option for you to do, and it's something to really think about. I've been wanting to delve into kind of doing bales of plush. We get a lot of inventory. I don't know if you're tracking us on social media or not, but I've been trying to do a better job about putting that stuff out there so people can see what exactly the scope and the breadth and depth of what we're doing here. It's incredible to watch how much inventory is coming through here through our business. So something to think about. So I'm going to definitely consider that myself, Caleb. So I appreciate that advice. I mean, it makes sense to scale to the next level. I think my thing is, for the business part of it, is the trust in hiring somebody on. So, and the control factor, because my wife likes to have control of her business, because ultimately this is her business. I'm an unpaid employee. So, how do you mitigate that, and how do you go, kind of move to that level of thinking?
For me, I was always going to do it. So, I mean, from the time I started, I did not want to be doing this myself the whole time. But I wasn't in a rush to hire someone either. But knowing that I was always going to do it, I tried to build everything I do to where someone could jump in, or someone I could train someone to do it that way.
Mhm.
And it is nerve-wracking, and there is so much that goes into it, and I wish it was easier. And there's a lot of tips I could give, as far as like the actual processes on hiring someone. And I mean, just the paperwork and everything, and making sure you're paying them, and the taxes, like how do you take taxes out, like all that, I think holds a lot of people back. For me, I was going to do it anyway, so if I messed up and went to jail, whatever, I was going to
Do the best you can.
if I hired someone and they stole all my computers and my stuff, I was not going to be satisfied just me, doing it myself. That being said, usually those worst case scenarios don't happen. And as far as like just giving up the trust, I don't know what the workaround for that is. I don't know if there is one. You just, that is just like diving into the pool. You gotta do it. And I when I first hired my first employee, I was like, even if this doesn't, and also just financially wise, like I think you should be making enough money to where it's no problem to hire someone. So I had, whatever, $1,000 a week at the time. And then I was just doing eBay at the time that I hired them, that like I could put towards this person. And just like, if I didn't make it, like whatever, I just lost the money. So I was going to learn. And that's the way I thought about it. Like, if this doesn't work out, I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot. And so the next employee, I got that much more. And that's, I think that's the best you can, the best mental game you can play is just kind of that, like, it might not work out. I'm going to learn. I'm not satisfied working on this myself the whole time, so I need to do it. You will find out if your processes are not efficient when you hire someone. And most people don't have efficient processes. And I think I think it's good, because I think even if you hire someone and because when you're paying them and they're doing your same process, and for close, let's say they're only getting 4 listings done an hour, it's like you kind of realize, like, whoa, the money is not really working out here, and they're only going to be as fast as your process is. And that may lead you to change your process, which is something that you needed to do, because maybe you could get by with you only listing 4 an hour. And it doesn't have to, I don't even like throwing out times, because there's so much that goes into it. Listing a blazer is a lot different than listing shorts, but whatever it is really needs to be efficient when you get that employee, because you're paying them whether, for their output. And so if anything, you hire them and you find out your systems do need some changing, then like that showed you that, and you can get that much better from that. If you hire them and it doesn't work out, like, you're going to learn from it. So yeah, I thought about it that way, and there's no way around the mistakes. There's no way. I've had employees that were bad, and even now, one thing I'm working on, and I try to always listen to people that are far above me. I think I'm pretty subpar as a manager and an owner. I care a lot about my employees, a whole lot. I don't think I show it well at all. And just little things like I didn't do that I've started, like, having a team meeting once a week, just for 5-10 minutes. Like, I didn't do that for the first 3 years. I'm like, man, that's pretty bad. Like, I do care about them. They don't know. And it's like just little things like that. I've really started to get into. I've started to get into more like, hey, how do I be a better manager? How do I be a better owner? And it's all, it's all skill deficiencies that have to get better. And I think, if you never start, then you're not ever going to get better at them. And that's something I'm still like actively, like, I'm pretty sure I'm bad at this. I need to get better, especially for like the next step and training and hiring managers and things like that. So.
Yeah. And see, the one, like, what I wanted to interject is, it's that I came from 20 years of retail for Walmart. So I worked different positions, was a manager, all of that. I did teaching and training. And that was one of the things with teaching the management of, if you're not going to release that task to somebody else, you're always going to be tied to that task. You have to start giving up that task. Consider it kind of like the process of you set up auto pay. It's automated, it's already done. If you're teaching those processes, how you want it done, you're helping guide them, giving them all the tips, tricks, and you let them do. If they fail, then you correct it and you switch and change that. But if you don't allow to say, hey, take this task and run with it, and give them that guidance, you're always going to be tied to that task. And we talked about burnout. It's real. You're going to get burned out with it after a while. And you got to start taking some stuff off of your plate, because then you have to look at what's that opening up for. That's opening up for you to do other tasks that maybe you've had on the back burner, then now somebody else is taking it off of your plate. So that's just food for thought, putting out there too.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on the burnout front of it, I I I'm fine with it. I don't really get that yet. I can push through whenever I don't feel like it, but that may not always be the case. And I know that maybe in 3 years, like I'm just absolutely sick. That could easily happen. And kind of my goal is to like make sure I got systems in place so like when I get there, I can step back because yeah, I mean it's hard. There's so many hard parts about it. And for me, like I don't want to be doing like the listing was the thing for me with eBay. And I don't know. I think for a lot of resellers out there, they get the listing part. Like it's like it's so boring. You just stand there, you take your photos, and it's boring. And for me, that was the process where like from the very beginning, and I was so happy to do it. I listed 70 a day, 5 days a week for almost 2 years by myself. I was so happy to do it because I didn't have much other opportunities. And that's what got me out of the apartment. That's what got me the house. I was like changed my life. And I was like, I'm not going to complain at all. This is sweet. But I did not like a single second of it, really. It was like, and people thought like, oh, you just love listing. No, I never did. And it was really motivating to me to like work really hard and try to get systems and hire people because I knew like I definitely don't want to be doing that 5 years from now. When I was doing whatnot shows, like whatnot shows were not for me. They really weren't. And I was fine doing them. I had some fun, but I did not want to be doing whatnot shows myself. I don't do them now. I didn't want to do them, 3 years from now. I just didn't. Some people, that's fine. I really like some people like whatnot shows are like the best part of their day or whatever. I like other things in business a lot more than like those tasks. And even business as a whole, maybe in a few years I'm going to be burnt out on that. And if I don't have other options that I've created for myself, I got to keep doing it. I can, unfortunately, food ain't free. So I think about it that way. I'm just like I'm fine with it now. I'm happy I wake up and like I don't dread going to work. I don't hate Mondays. I like working on the weekends. That's awesome. It might not always be the case. And when that time comes, I hope I can step away because otherwise I'm going to be stuck. And that's where like I think burnout can get way worse.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, the good news is a lot of these tasks that we're talking about, there's something that's new that's coming that I think is already out there, but it's called agentic AI. Basically, artificial intelligence. There's cross-listing platforms like Nifty.ai, that we're a part of and things of that nature that you can help you with cross-listing. What's coming next with agentic AI is basically it's going to be like a task master. You can set it to do a certain task and automate that task. So the actual process of listing will become automatic as well. So that's what's next in tech. So it's an
Are you
exciting time.
saying that I can upload a photo and not do anything else?
I'm saying
Because
that
my ears are hearing.
I'm saying that it is possible for you not even have to upload it. It can go to your files and folders. You can find your photos if you point it that way, right? It could upload it for you. It could list it for you. It could do all the things for you. That's what's coming next. It's just a matter of finding someone that has the time to code it, right? That's
My
what I
eyes
do.
are lighting up.
That's what I do every day. I'm a software engineer, so that's what I'm degreed for. So that's kind of the stuff that's kind of hot right now. So I think that's going to come out, and it's going to, as the technology, there's a price point difference right now, disparity. But as we see with technology, sometimes as we get a better understanding, and that kind of meets the need, the prices get a little bit better. I think we've seen that through all technology. Cell phones are a good example of that. But so that's coming next. That'll make a lot of the static listing easier. But will static listing still be a thing? I don't think it'll be as prevalent once that need is met. I think it's going to be mostly social media sales through things like Whatnot, maybe Palm Street, District, some of those other eBay Live. I'm confused about eBay Live. I don't know how you feel about this, Caleb. I'm confused that they're still in beta, that they haven't unlocked it to the masses yet. It's a very like selective, almost feels like I don't want to say a boys club, but it almost feels like it is somehow closed off to us in the generalities of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think eBay is just being very safe. They
Mm,
always play everything safe. I'm actually like really wanting some other competition to come in the live selling space because uh, as I every employee I hire, I think about how like I'm paying them through Whatnot, and Whatnot's been awesome. I mean, they've been so much better to deal with than eBay has, and I loved eBay, selling on it and everything, but they've just been better in that aspect. But and I don't sell anything that's risky. I don't even sell high end like designer or fake or things that would really be fake that much or anything. I still am like all my money or a lot of my money is coming through that avenue, and I would love it if there was another live selling platform. So now I got two. If something happened, I'm just right over the other one. eBay, I think, is just playing it very safe. They kind of always do that. I think they're worth so much money. I think they're just not worth. They're worried about maybe getting sued potentially for something people do on a live stream or things like that. But I do
mm,
really think they're missing the ball on this. I actually
yeah,
can't believe how bad they're doing at it. Their shows are not very appealing to me when I see them. They're gatekeeping a lot, which is like fine, but they're not even getting in the right people. Even like the format that they have, I'm like, you got so many $1 billion and you can't make it look better than like this little startup Whatnot's doing. And it just yeah,
right.
it really dropped the ball on it. And they're going to have to try to play catch up because I do think it's just going to keep exploding. I mean, my prediction is like
Mm,
I actually can't believe. I guess I can because things are just kind of slow to change. But I'm certain of this. We'll see if I'm right. I'm certain in the future, every shop, Lululemon, Nike, Old Navy, whatever, they're going to have their own live stream on their websites
yeah.
going 24/7. If
Wow.
I had access to Lululemon inventory and I could just run a live show for them, selling stuff at market price, I would be their best selling store by a bajillion. Like, because you
Mhm.
don't just have your local radius of 50 miles, you got the entire United States. And people can shop when they're driving or at work. They don't shop while you're driving, but you can. So and so I think all those platforms are gonna, as soon as one of them figures out, oh, we can just like, oh, also we don't have to pay for a store, which is a crazy big expense. And I think they're all gonna have that. And eBay, yeah, I think they're just behind on it for whatever reason. I think there's gonna be some other platforms, probably more niche related. Kind of like how Poshmark's more clothing, and you got like Depop more Y2K. I think there's going to be some of that for live selling too, which I think will be great because yeah, the awesome thing about live selling is when you're on your show, you can say, "Hey, follow us on Instagram," and now you got your followers there. And so if you change to another place or do it somewhere else, you can kind of take them with you, which is nice. But yeah, no, I'm surprised that they're going slow. They're playing safe. They make a bunch of money already. I think the people there always err on the side of caution because they don't want to just like risk a big lawsuit or something, and that's why it's kind of like
Mhm.
weird the way they're rolling it out. And they won't really crank it up probably until like they feel a lot of pressure from sales moving away, which I don't know. It's yeah, I mean, it's looking
Mm.
at like total numbers and stuff. eBay's so big, it's like hard to tell what they're thinking. And I think they just play it safe. But I am surprised that like it's as bad as it is for the platform they
Yeah,
got.
I mean, I was super shocked by that, and kind of saw it in the writing on the wall. I've used this analogy before on the podcast. It's like the old Blockbuster days when Blockbuster didn't kind of see the writing on the wall when Netflix came in, and they started shipping DVDs and all the, or sorry, the movies and all that stuff, and then they went to the online and all the other stuff, the streaming, and they met the need before the technology was proven, and they saw the writing on the wall, and here we are. So You would think that a successful company would use some of these other companies that came before them as the precursor for some of those decisions, but not the case in this one,
Yeah,
which
I
is
don't really
interesting.
understand the reasoning for it, honestly. Like, it's new, it's exciting. It seems like something that like a big company like eBay would jump on.
Mm.
And I if I had to bet, I'm pretty confident it's a lot of legal things are the reasons that they're slow to just allow everybody to come in and do it and kind of promote it more. But yeah, I would give them a D minus so far on their live selling platform.
eBay, you're failing. You got to do better.
I say that as someone that really wants it to be really good on their platform, because that
Yeah,
would
same,
be another
same.
platform where it's like, hey, because as you grow and get more employees, it's like, you're supporting their families, you're supporting everything they're doing, and it's like and
Mhm.
it's fine, you're getting it through this one space, but it does make you nervous, and it'd be awesome to have another one that you could just switch to. So I hope they get it together and end up doing better.
Mm.
I think Whatnot could probably use some improvement in regards to their software too. There's challenges. I'm not going to say Whatnot's perfect, so let's just be clear with that.
Yeah.
There's definitely challenges there in the application, shipping, and things of that nature, and other things. So I just want nothing's ever 100% what you need, and that's the most important takeaway from this. We want to say that we're not saying that whatnot is the way, but is a lever for you. Is the messaging I think in this one. So just know that there are other opportunities in regards to live reselling. But what I'm mostly concerned about for our listening audience, and we are broadcasting through Spotify. We appreciate all the Spotify listeners right now. So make sure you're following us there too. Just to encourage you to try live reselling if you haven't done it yet. Um, Normally, during this time of the podcast, we ask our guest, and we ask you to call someone out in regards to who you would like to see on the next Launchpad Reseller podcast. And so I'm going to do it real official now. Camlife, Caleb, who do you want to see on Launchpad Reseller podcast?
You'd be surprised at how much I don't uh, intake that much reseller content.
I love it.
I'm trying, like, and this
I love when people
I
have,
hope it doesn't come off as like I listen to a lot more business thing. That's like where I'm at what I need to learn.
bring it
So
because that's an important part of the reselling. They don't necessarily have to be a reseller if it's a business. You know, if it was someone like Gary Vee, I'd actually trip over my own feet to interview that person. But
Gary V would be awesome. I like that
um,
he's been one that's like been on the live selling and pushing it a bunch.
yeah,
He does have a
but we're not gonna call out Gary Vee because I don't think he's gonna want to do our podcast. But maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But I know it's a deep thought. Is there someone else on Whatnot? Let's even say, okay, we'll keep it Whatnot
All right,
centric.
yeah, that's better. Someone else on Whatnot. I got
Yeah,
one for you because she's local, and I actually so it's kind of cheating. I actually haven't talked to her too much about her show. I've just actually seen it and been like, wow, this one's really nice. Her name's Taylor, and the reason I think she would actually be really good. Her Whatnot handle I think is One Energy Exchange. And the reason I think she's really good is I use her as an example all the time of someone that's smaller that has like an awesome show that doesn't rely heavily on like brands. So she has a certain style. She's got a certain community that really, likes that style, and she's built it up over the past, like year that she's been doing it. And she does it on like a smaller level because it's just her, and it works really well. And I use her as an example all the time. So that would actually be one. And she's local in Nashville too. So
Even better. We're very familiar with that area for sure. I want to just encourage that person that you've called out, Taylor, to be a part of the podcast. We would love to have you on, and we'll go ahead and clip this scene right here so that we can go ahead and see if she's interested in coming on. Someone that you admire and respect in the community, and lift that other seller up is what we're about this year in 2026, because we want to make sure that when we rise together. That's the point of the reseller community. we are a community, and I think that's more important than anything else in regards to reselling, because you can get lost in the mix if you make it just about money. A lot of us are doing this. Probably money's important. Don't get me wrong. Like you said, food's not free, but what really drives you, it sounds like, is the business part of it. And the best way to have that business mindset is to collaborate and also engage with like-minded folks. Surround yourself by 5 people that you would love to become, as they say, because I think is super important. And yeah, I just want to encourage that. And also, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I mean, we truly appreciate that. Can't say enough. I'm going to call out one person that made this entire podcast and come to fruition. It's Small Town Girls Shop, Marcy. Marcy, if you're hearing the sound of my voice on this one, we appreciate you so much for allowing us to get to know Caleb better, Camlife, and Cam. Before we close things out, where can people find you on all the socials, obviously on Whatnot, etc.?
Yeah, it's the one we're most active on is Instagram. It's Camlife62, so CAMLIFE 62, and that's where we post a bunch of silly videos. I'm actually really gearing up my social media because I think that's a big thing. Just with the next step that we have, and so that's the best way to follow us. And then Cam Life on Whatnot is our handle there. And yeah, I don't know if Marcy told you, but the reason I know her is I was taking my packages to the post office, and she met me there. And she was talking. I took her across the street because I got my shop across the street from the post office. I planned it that way because I didn't want to.
You're so smart.
Her son actually works for me now, so she was looking for him, so he does the shipping for me. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
I love how that is serendipitous almost. It really is, to be able to run into a like-minded person at the postal. So, man, I think that's just so like one of those moments in time that you just can't capture well enough. Before we wrap things up, I'm going to open it up to the team for additional questions and see if there's any other final thoughts. We'll go with Ashley first.
Oh gosh, I don't have any other final thoughts. I appreciate what you brought and a different mindset, because we're all toy sellers, and it's like, yeah, clothes, shipping would be so easy, but it's like, and I've done a little bit of clothes, and it's just like, it doesn't work for me. So I just appreciate the knowledge. And then it was kind of interesting to find out that you're like, yeah, I'm not really a clothing person. I was like, whoa, really? So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
It definitely helps with the wholesale mindset.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure. We're going to go ahead and go over to Ellie, Tennessee Treasures.
I agree. I definitely appreciate you. Definitely brought a completely different mindset. And I'm speaking for myself and for other neurodivergent brains that are listening. Thank you for the motivation that you have provided us today, because a lot of what you were saying is just very straightforward thinking, very common sense, I guess. I don't know if you want to call it common sense, but just very straightforward. And it kind of just keeps it keeps my mind motivated and brings me back to, this is what needs to be done. And I enjoy selling toys. So, just some of the processes and thinking that you have are very enlightening. And I just want to remind everybody that progress is better than perfection. Just get it done.
Ooh, wisdom. Tennessee Treasures with some absolute wisdom. And our final few minutes here. I just want to encourage also one more time to get in front of it. Regardless of what you're going to do, pick something, whatever side hustle that is. And it's okay to start it that way before it becomes a business. Make sure that when you're ready to pull that pin from side hustle to business, that you follow along the Launchpad Reseller podcast, because that's the point of this podcast, is to talk to like-minded people and grow you on the journey. And we want to be your mission control for all things reselling. And I want to remind you one more other thing. If you can't be good at it. We're going to catch you on the next one. We're going to wrap it up. Appreciate you. Stick around, Caleb. We got some questions for you in the end. And we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.